Hey, what's up guys, Aizawa here. So in this video we are going to talk about what I believe was the best Footsie in MK11. I say was because what you see on the screen right now isn't actually the latest patch of the game. This is a clean aftermath release that is at the moment only used for video purposes, and you cannot play this online anymore, but it has the stuff we are looking for. So the normal we are going to talk about is Fujin's Forward 3. Some of you that played back the day might think this will be about his infinite combo, because he had a Forward 3 infinite that was real popular, but that's actually not the case. We are not gonna talk about it that much. The move itself is a pretty good normal to this very day, but if you launch the game in late 2021, you will encounter a nerfed version of this. Most players back the day didn't even bother, as this was just a small change, but if you played Fujin, this was a pretty big deal, even if it was a little busted before. You see, this normal is a slide specifically created to be the character's best Footsie, but the pre-patch version could straight up duck under mid projectiles and not only highs, making it arguably Fujin's best anti-zoning move. Taking this low profile away took a fair quarter of his matchups and hit it quite notably. Most obviously, characters like Robocop or Nightwolf were much easier to close up to, but I'm not even gonna cover that because there are a lot more interesting stuff with others. For example, if you happen to play Dead of Winter Sub-Zero, this might just have been one of your worst matchups. Not only that you don't have the slide, the amplified ice ball got completely useless, which was a huge problem for sub players. Throwing an ice ball in the neutral, amplified or not, was just a bad idea in general, as Fujin could duck under any of them, not only making you waste the bar, but possibly whiff punish for a full combo. So basically, zoning with ice ball got completely deleted if you were just a little bit thinking and trying to be safe. You pretty much cancelled into ice balls or you did not want to use them in the match. Now you could say that's okay, most players did not use this variation that much. Thin Ice was a much more prominent pick that doesn't even have Deep Freeze. And yes, you would be right. Problem is, Sub-Zero has a move called Frigid Storm that was pretty useful in other matchups, sometimes as it was safe and became more plus depending on the distance. Great for creating small little gimmicks for Slide or Ice Ball. Here, it all worth nothing though. This startup speed pretty much lets Fujin counter it with a back 2 in the first place, but if he was outside of back 2 range, Frigid Storm got a smaller hitbox when it left Sub-Zero's palm. You rarely saw this in a real match at casual level, but yes, Fujin could duck under it without any problems. Sub-Zero's only luck was that the forward 3 did not reach for a whiff punish from where it could actually avoid a special, but the second hit of forward 3-1 string could. So you better block not to get a crushing blow. Even then you had to be careful because forward 3-1 is a flawless block setup with -7. Your down 1 is the only button that can punish it with a startup of 6, getting you a jail if you played it right. But if you try a standing one, you're getting flawless blocked by a good Fujin player more often than not. I'm sure pro players probably had better punishes of a flawless block, but this is what I did. Ending in the restand and needle, so I'm plus on hit. Now you see, that's why people would try throwing instead, hoping Fuji will be blocking when it becomes active. If he's faster or read it, that's a full combo again. You need to be real careful with the forward 3-1, just handling it safely is a challenge for some characters. Now about Avalanche. Look, this is not necessarily a needed part of the video, but I wanted to show something cool with it you can do as Fujin even today, if I'm not mistaken. Arctic Trap and Creeping Ice suffer similar fate in this matchup. Arctic Trap can be simply avoided by using a back 2 to hit instead of trying to close in. Creeping Ice, however, is where I found this. If you read and avoid the first hit, you can completely squeeze in before the amplify could come out with a forward 3, countering it instantly and starting a combo. Notice how Sub-Zero is airborne for a moment while amplifying? Yeah, you could do this as well. Never have done nor have I ever seen this in a real match, but I wanted you to know this is a valid option. And finally, Shang Tsung is where things get a bit more interesting. This might look like a small thing, but it was a universal counter to any variation. Shang mostly relies on high projectiles or vertical ones as corpse drop and such. However, Fujin had a specific technique to Oki Shang Tsung, thanks to his forward 3. Alright, now watch this and try to figure out what's happening. You see that? I'm gonna show it again. The two apparently just whiff on each other. This happens either because Shang's Wake Up 3's hitbox is too high even though it's a mid, or because it has projectile specific hitbox. This would instantly mean that forward 3 can duck under it because the requirements for that to happen simply met. Shang Tsung on the other hand is in the middle of invincibility frames when the forward 3 is active. This means if you time it right, you can actually, like literally whiff punish Shang's invincible wake up point blank, on contact. But even though this sounds amazing, luckily for Shang Tsung players back the day, the forward 3 1KB would never come out in this situation, assumingly because the forward 3 actually registers as a connected move. It just doesn't have any hit reaction due to the invincibility. Looking back now, this is pretty hilarious, but back the day I was constantly using it against Shang Tsung players to waste their meter and effort and get them into the same knockdown state over and over again. It was something that truly just worked. Alright guys, this was all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel to never miss a future video. This was Aizawa and goodbye for now.